Hello and welcome back to my channel after a little bit of a break. Today I've been at a bit of a loss on what to cook. Motivation hasn't been great. So what I'm doing today is something I always wanted to try. And I'm going to be doing spaghetti carbonara, but I'm going to be doing it the traditional way. Because 99 times out of 100, if you go to an Italian restaurant in England, in Britain, whatever, you're not going to get the genuine article. But it's actually really simple to make. All you need, spaghetti. Obviously you can use any type of pasta. You need eggs, black pepper, and there's two ingredients that you do need to be a bit, what's the word? It's worth looking out for them. So number one, I've got the cheese, and this is pecorino romano. Now this should be easy enough to get. I got this from Morrison's. You can probably get it from any major supermarket. The other ingredient is much rarer, well, at least where I live. And this is an ingredient called guanciale. Now, this is cured pork cheek, so it's very fatty. I'm going to get it out of the packet and show it. You can see it looks like it's 90% actual fat, which isn't an unreasonable thing to say about this, if I'm honest with you. But generally, in the UK, if you go to a regular Italians, you're going to get bacon, you're going to get pancetta, bacon lardons, something like that. But this stuff, it's harder to get. I got it at Lidl, but this was in like their specialist temporary range, so it's not something you see a lot. I've never seen it in the major supermarkets. So I've got a big pan going. This is going to be where I'm going to cook everything. And I've got a pot of boiling water ready to go. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut a slice out of this guanciale. Quite a rind on this. And you can see it looks like it's mostly fat. This is a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the rind, because this is simply too much. I've got no use for that. So we will get rid. With the remainder, you know, it's amazing how much difference that makes. I'm just going to cut it into pieces. Do it nice and quick. Now, as I said, I've got a pan going here. It's at a fairly low heat. What we want is some of this fat to render out of the guanciale. So, it's going to pop that in. And actually what I'm going to do, because this doesn't take long, is I'm going to pop my pasta in to cook now. Now, I always get the amounts wrong here, but I'm going to pop that in. A little bit more. I'm feeling quite hungry. I'll pop the heat up on that. Still getting used to this stove. Okay. You might be able to hear the sizzle of the meat, but we'll come back to that. Now, there's actually not much more to do. What we'll do now is we're going to prepare our sauce. 1 egg. We need bacon eggs, little crack on a flat surface. And pop it over. Should be able to do that in one little pan, whatever. I'll quickly use this pan. Okay, I'm going to give me tongs. Just going to keep the guanciale moving. You don't have to use quite as big a pan as what I'm doing. But I'm going to use what I've got available. And the other thing we need to do is get the pecorino going. So, easiest way, just put the eel grater, put it on its side. Shouldn't need to edit this down, we can do it in real time. So what we'll do now is I'm going to mix this in with the cheese. I appreciate I'm using the same chopping board as I did for the meat, but the two spots haven't touched. Okay, and with this again, just going to mix it up. It'll form like a paste. Yeah. So looking at this, some of the fat is coming off. I am going to turn the heat up slightly on that. And then I'm going to turn the heat up again on the pasta. I'm still trying to get used to this. Now, one of the ingredients we need is black pepper. Let's pop it in there. You notice I'm not measuring anything. I'm doing this by feel. I like a lot of black pepper. That's where my understanding is where the carbon and carbonara comes from. You can always add more if we need to, but so let's keep that to one side. So what I'll do now is I will move my camera to a more appropriate position. You see I've got 2 pans for. Now I'm just trying to see how this is coming through on the camera. There is fat starting to render off. And you'll notice the guanciale is starting to go a little bit crispy, which is ideal. Now guanciale is a cured meat, I believe, so it's got some spices on it already, and it's basically bacon, fatty bacon. What this will do is this will add the fat element to the dish. You need to get as much of it. It's all running off to the sides, which is ideal. It's exactly what I want. Now I've seen a lot of chefs doing this because it's quite trendy, but they put all sorts of weird stuff in it. I've seen people put peas in it. I mean, why? I want to turn that down. Anyone else using an induction stove? I find it a bit weird. It's nice and quick, but the numbers don't make sense to me. So in the pan here, the oil is already everywhere. Just going to check it. Okay, pasta needs a few more minutes. I'm agitating this just to get the fat down into the sides. I could have possibly cut this a little bit short, a little bit less, well, just cut this in half, basically. I think I've done a little bit too big. But I don't want this to burn. I don't want this just to taste of burnt bacon. I'm a bit worried I've overdone that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the guanciale out. And what we'll do now is we will turn this hob off. We're going to let it lose a lot of its heat. Just a piece. Because the next stage is we are going to take the pasta, which should be not fully cooked, but nearly cooked, and we're going to basically put it through the bacon fat, the guanciale fat. Just never the best with this. Okay, I think that needs another minute or so. Let me edit this down. Back I will. I'll tidy up. I will do that. Okay, I'm thinking that's cooked enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the heat off the pasta. And now we're just going to transfer this pasta into the hot oil. Might hear the sizzle there. There might be better tools to be using rather than the set of tongs. But if they do exist, I do not own them at the moment. Now, the important thing is not to waste this pasta water, at least not all of it. We'll come back to that to do a little bit of magic. So, we're coating the spaghetti with the bacon fat, so guanciale fat. And then we're going to add our mix from earlier. So this is the cheese and the egg. And we're just going to add it in. So it's the cheese, the egg and the black pepper. It'll be cooked with the residual heat from the pasta and the oil. We don't want this to be scrambled eggs, so we're just going to run this through. Try and spread it out amongst the flavours. Amongst all the spaghetti. Now, this is the magic bit. We need a better solution than that. I am going to add in a little bit of this pasta water. Not too much. I think that'll do us. The pasta water, it'll contain loads of starches from the pasta. It'll help give us a thick sauce. And again, it'll probably help cook the egg. Now, I have seen it where people put the pasta water into the mix with the cheese and the egg. I just don't think that's necessary. And effectively, that's the work done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plate this up, make it look nice, and we'll come back in a few moments. Hello and welcome back. So I've plated up the pasta. Off screen, I've split the guanciale pieces in half. I've added them to the top, and I've put a sprinkle more of black pepper on the top. Now, I've been looking forward to this, so let's give it a go. Let's try this. And you'll notice it's not like a runny sauce or anything. It's nice and thick. So let's give this a go. Good job, I like pepper. Right, I've overdone the pepper slightly, but that's not a big deal. Now what I want to do is I want to taste the individual ingredients. I'll be honest, that guanciale tastes like a slightly stronger bacon flavour, like regular bacon rather than smoked. I'm not sure if it's worth the hype. It tastes like bacon fat, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I can understand why people would use regular bacon or pancetta, let's say. Now, let's try just a little bit of the pasta by itself. So obviously you get the pepper, you do get the flavour, you don't get like an eggy flavour, you get the flavour of the pecorino romano, the cheese coming through. I may, if I was to do this again, use a bit more, because I do like the cheese, but it's good, it's not overpowering, it's quite balanced. Anyway, let's try, I'm just going to eat the whole thing on sort of camera. to satisfy and bite of fruit. Get a bit of the guanciale in with the pasta. Hindsight, use a bit more cheese. And I genuinely think that is better than 90% of Italian restaurants. It doesn't need anything else. It doesn't need peas or anything like that. Definitely doesn't need cream. So I'd recommend it. Give it a go. It's dead simple. If you can't get the guanciale, use bacon, use pancetta, bacon lard ones, whatever. You probably get a very similar effect. If you want to do a vegetarian version, well, that's your problem. You can source your ingredients. And if you're vegan, you probably bang out of luck with this stuff. You need a substitute every ingredient. But anywho, this is me just cooking whatever I feel like. It's got no local influence or anything like that. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've got any suggestions on something I can make, please put it in the chat. And help us out. Like, subscribe, tell us what you think. Give us some inspiration. So thank you for joining me today. Goodbye.